Hey, friends, welcome back to Rebel Tribe After Hours, where we skip the scripts, drop the polish, and just have real conversations. Tonight, I'm sitting down with Marsha Lane Foster, and this is one of those conversations that's kind of more about the journey than the resume. We're going to be talking about the winding paths, the pivots you didn't plan for, the lessons you only learned by living them, and how all of that shapes who you become. Marsha brings so much depth, honesty, and perspective to the table, and I think you're going to feel this one more than just listen to it. So get comfortable, settle in, and let's just talk. Marsha, I'm really glad you're here.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
So tell me what's going on in your world. I know that you've been doing it's been quite a journey I've been watching.
Yes, it has. For several months, I've been working on a little pivot in my entrepreneurial path. And as most people know, I've been a professional photographer for 15 years or more, and I'm still doing that, and I probably will always. But I stumbled onto nervous system regulation based on polyvagal theory last fall, and it just captured my attention and was so interesting. So I have been doing a deep dive into that since last fall, and I've been in a coaching program with an amazing coach. Her name is Rose Metcalf, and she has an amazing journey and story herself. But that's part of what inspired me to work with her. So I've been learning about nervous system regulation and also learning how to have an online summit. And it is a whole new business plan. And I'm telling you, I have been working so hard just to wrap my mind around it and kind of and get it set up and get it going. But it's been such a learning and growing experience. And I've learned, I think I already knew that, but I didn't really know cognitively. I felt it, but the biggest and best personal development you'll ever do is having your own business, um, because it teaches you everything in all areas of your life.
I was a little concerned, I have to admit, when I saw you doing all of this stuff. I was like, man, is she giving up her photography? Because you're like my go-to person now. Okay.
Mhm.
So
No, no, I'm not. I'm not. I'll always do photography, but it's just growing. It's not leaving. I'm not leaving it by the wayside. It's just growing into something more. Since 2018, I've had a vision of being able to bring a program to the public and especially women who that can provide personal development along with life coaching. And I've already done this many times with projects that you've probably seen, like Fetal to Free and the Hostage Project and Awakening the Divine Feminine. We've talked about all those before, but the difference is that the people that I'm photographing will actually be having me as their coach for 6 months, and they'll be learning how to regulate their systems and become visible. That's why my program is called Becoming Visible, because we shrink ourselves and do whatever it takes just to survive and get through life. And I'm tired of women not feeling good enough. And I want to inspire them to be visible. And I've watched you become so much more visible in the time we've known each other. And really, you've blazed a path for me. I'm so grateful for that, and kind of showed me what's possible. So it's all things working together, and it's everything. I've said this before, but I'm really feeling this in my body. Everything I've ever done up until now has perfectly prepared me for this next chapter that I'm stepping into of being a life and business coach. So I'm just really excited about it.
well, I'm so deeply honored that you rec- thought of me as your trailblazer. That's just awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
It's and it's a great example, I think, of why none of us do this stuff alone. I mean, I know I've introduced you, I know, to a lot of the ladies that helped me, that
Mm-hmm.
helped me get out there and go, okay, quit hiding, quit shrinking, figure out what it is that you really want to do, and then go do it. And so,
Absolutely. You've
yeah,
been so helpful in that area. I think I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure at least 4 or 5 of my experts came from you. And what's really been cool for me in this process of recording all of these 20 plus videos with all these different experts for my online summit is that I'll have to be honest, I was starting to feel a little isolated in my world and felt like maybe there wasn't beyond my little circle, there wasn't a lot of people in the world who were really working to empower women and lean into feminine power and do all of these things that we as women need. And interviewing all of these women and these coaches and these professionals, and I mean, they're from all walks of life. They do all different kinds of things. But it reminded me that I'm not alone in this work. I mean, I know you're doing the same work too, but I'm thinking what's outside of my little pod, my little people, and it's just been mind blowing to see the women all over the world who are making a difference, and we're all doing the same thing, empowering women. We're just all have a little bit different ways of doing it, and they all work.
I know it's just, it kind of amazed me when I first started doing this podcast. It's like, man, I'm having a hard time finding people that are relevant to what I want to talk about, that are
Mm-hmm.
willing to be on. And then all of a sudden, it's like somebody turned on a nozzle or
Mm-hmm.
something, and now they're
Yeah.
they're just they're everywhere. There's so many women out there, and I
Yeah.
think that's what happens when you open yourself up to the fact that
Mm-hmm.
we're not alone, and
And they're
they're
reaching out
out
to
there.
you, aren't they?
Yeah,
And asking to be, yeah,
you just gotta be open, and
yeah.
you've got to put yourself out there and be visible so they can find you.
You do. You
So
do. So the name of my summit, the long name of it, the short name is Becoming Visible. The long name of it is Becoming Visible 21 Tools to Stop Performing and Start Embodying Success. And it's amazing also to me how all of the speakers have been like a puzzle piece to make one big, beautiful, put together puzzle. It's just, it's been so gratifying. Of course, it's scary to grow. And I've been out there, I've had a lot of film done of me. I've been on both sides of the camera, what have you, but I had gotten so rusty. And when I first started doing these recordings, I was really stiff and, you'll hyperventilate a little bit before. And then, by my fourth or fifth one, I thought, I can do this. This is not a problem. So when you watch the series, it's going to be funny because you'll be able to tell the first ones that I did because I'm a little bit scattered, and then by the last few, it's just like this. It's like having a conversation, and I mean that's personal development. Helping other people helps you grow.
I remember those days. I go back and watch some of the first little videos I did on YouTube, or listen to some of the first podcast episodes. It's like, man, those are really bad.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. Or I look at photographs that I made 20 years ago and think, what was I thinking? Why did I do that? But styles change too, so that's part of it. But yeah, we grow and we become better and we become more open and knowledgeable as we go. And of course, you're going to get better when you do something. That's inevitable.
I got to ask, because summit is kind of something you associate summits with, like people that are teaching, the business skills, or the health and
Mm-hmm.
wellness summits or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What you're doing is kind of out of the realm of what you would normally think of as someone who's going to do a summit. So what in the heck made you decide to get up one day and go, yeah, I'm going to do a summit?
Well, it actually came and grew out of my working with my coach, Rose Metcalf, because the first thing that grabbed me about her was the nervous system regulation because, I'm just going to be really transparent now. I've had a lot of trauma in my life and it's had a lot of effects on me. And I was able to kind of stay on top of it and stay a little bit ahead of it until perimenopause hit when I was 50. I'm 53 now. And my whole world fell apart. And I thought I was losing my mind. And all of the things I've been doing to cope up until that moment didn't work anymore. And so I have been searching for something ever since then for the last 3 years to help me deal with my newly diagnosed ADHD. My anxiety had gotten to the point where I couldn't even manage it anymore. It's kind of it's a cycle because the ADHD medicine helps me calm down so I can work in a way, or gives me focus. It doesn't calm me down, it gives me focus, but then it also, drives my blood pressure up. So then I have to take medicine for blood pressure, and then it's just a vicious cycle. One thing causes the next. And when I started learning the nervous system regulation exercises from Rose, it was an immediate change. And then, I felt it immediately and knew it was making a difference in my life. But over several weeks and months of practicing and learning more about it and learning to embody it so I can teach other people, I have been able to get off of my ADHD meds. I barely have anxiety anymore. I I know how to be busy now without being, I don't know what the word is, but it just felt like I was always working, but nothing ever got done. And now when I work, it gets done. And then I quit working and then I rest instead of being on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which I have been for the last 20 years. And I was losing it because I had been on for so long. My on switch had been on and hadn't been taking care of myself for so long. And perimenopause forced me to deal with the ways that I was running my life and my business that weren't serving me. And I've done a 180 in the last 6 months. My life is so different. And I tell people all the time, this is how it feels. It's like, so this is what it's like to be happy. So this is what it's like, because you hear people talk about it and you want it, but I don't think I've had glimmers and moments, but I don't think I've ever had consistent, regulation. That's what it is. It's regulation. And I have never had that for this long of a period at one time in all of my life. And it just feels like the whole world is opened up to me and I feel like anything is possible. So it's just, and I want to share this with people. And so back to the question, where did the summit come from? It came from my coach Rose, because she teaches two things. She teaches nervous system regulation, and then it's a twofold program. It's personal because of the nervous system regulation, and it's then business of learning how to put on these summits. So that's what I've been doing for the past 6 months, and it's all starting to come together, and it's really exciting.
Well, I hope you keep doing it because that's one of the things I think that kind of prompted me to start shifting from being a business coach to doing more of what I'm doing now. And that same thing because
Mm-hmm.
no one teaches us this stuff. I mean,
Mm-mm.
yeah, welcome to the world of being
Mm.
neurodivergent. Okay.
Yes.
we should
Yeah.
we should start
Yeah.
a club. Right?
Yeah.
But they don't tell you. I mean, I don't, and then they try to label you. Back in my day, we weren't labeled. We were just, well, we were labeled, but we weren't ADHD or OCD or whatever. We were just weird. We were just weird.
Mm.
And you
Yeah.
learned to cope because, they didn't have all the drugs and everything. But then
Mm-hmm.
somebody discovered that they could slap a label on us and medicate the crap out of us
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and think that we were better. And it's like, no, 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 no. So the things that we taught ourselves, for the women of my era, either learned to handle
Mhm.
it themselves and taught themselves how to
Mhm.
cope and how to,
Yeah.
or didn't. There was
Yeah.
no in between. And then if you hadn't figured out how to cope, you started, you went and got medication and
Mhm.
had a.
Well, I'm grateful to be off of my medication now, and I mean, I don't think the worst of anyone for being on medication, but it was a bridge for me between that, the way I was coping for all those years, especially 15 years of being self-employed, well, 10 years before that in corporate too. But the way I was coping was basically being mean to myself and just saying, "Okay, Marsha, put your big girl panties on and deal." Like, just deal. Suck it up and deal. And after 20 years of that, I didn't have any suck it up and deal left, especially after perimenopause hit me and completely changed how everything feels and looks and everything else that it changes. So the medication was a bridge for me between that put your big girl panties on way of dealing and where I am now, which is all of the modalities and all of the um, different exercises and what have you that I've learned, with nervous system regulation based on polyvagal theory, but then also the yoga. I finished my yoga certification, and that's a huge part of my life now, and teaching yoga. And there's a million ways to regulate yourself. We just have to do it.
I know,
So I
I
was
know.
grateful to
I will
to
never
have that
fault
bridge.
anybody. Yeah, I will never fault anybody for medication because sometimes it's absolutely necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it is
Yeah.
absolutely necessary. I guess what irritates me is that a lot of times it's prescribed without offering anything else, without telling
Yeah.
anybody that, hey, there's a
Yeah.
different way that might work. I mean, if you had
Yeah.
discovered this sooner because somebody told you about it,
Mm-hmm.
how much further along might you be right now? Don't mind me. I'm
Yeah.
anti-mainstream medicine. Y'all know that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I
Not
am
really,
too.
not really.
I went from being on no medication when I was 49 years old to a year and a half later being on four different medications. And that just didn't set well with me because I've always prided myself on being healthy and, not being on medication and never having been in the hospital and what have you. But um, it, it served me when I needed it. And now that I'm past it, I'm grateful to have had it. One thing I thought I had a moment ago about the ADHD is what I believe about the condition of ADHD has changed because of the nervous system regulation. Also, when I first got diagnosed with ADHD, I looked back over my life and thought, "Oh, this explains a lot. Now I understand why I've handled things the way I've handled them and done the things I've done and made the decisions I've done, and it was as a result of that." And I thought, well, and this is what they tell you, you're just born with it and you deal with it. But I don't believe that anymore. I don't believe I was born with ADHD. I think ADHD is a result of trauma and a result of dysregulation because I mean, I'm nearly symptom free now. I mean, I think I'm always going to be who I am, which is high strung and driven. But when I shifted the way I thought about it from being a disease that I was born with to, okay, I've had some really crappy things happen to me, and this is how I've had to react in order to deal with these things. But now I don't have to deal with those things anymore because I've put them to bed. And that's what all of the personal growth and the regulation and everything has done for me in the last year or so. So I feel like a new person.
I'm inclined to agree with you. It's a coping mechanism that we
It
develop,
is.
and we either learn to get past it one way or another, or we And let me shut down all the haters that are going to jump on this with their little comments now. I am not dead set against mainstream medicine. There is a place in everyone's life for it. When I had cancer, oncologist, okay? All the yoga, meditation, whatever was not going to cure that. I went to a doctor.
Well, of
But
course you did.
I
You're a
yeah,
smart
but
lady.
yeah, but I think we are a little too quick to pop a pill for everything. Okay. I do
True.
believe that.
Yeah, I think that another one of my huge realizations, and it's different when you know something with your head and know it with your heart and then know it with both, because I didn't realize that things don't have to be so black and white. They can be, there's all this gray area, but you can look at it in different ways. It could be, think of it as a timeline. If one on one end of the timeline is, I'm going to use example of what we're talking about. I don't believe in mainstream medicine and it hurts people and it's just the pharmaceuticals and blah, blah, whatever. And then on the other end is I take no medication, everything that I can, everything has to be healed naturally. And, I'm against all that stuff and I'm going to do everything the natural way. There's a whole range in the middle of that. That's okay. It's okay to go to the doctor and also meditate through an anxiety attack instead of taking a pill. It's a whole it's a whole range of stops on the on the timeline, I guess. You know what I'm saying.
I do because my husband and I actually had that conversation the other day. That's how I knew I had really moved past everything because he made the comment that I am way more comfortable dealing with shades of gray now. And he's still very much
Mhm.
a black and white person. And he's like,
Yeah.
I can't live in that gray reality world of yours. And I'm like, it's the only way to live, honey, because there is no black and white. There's
Mm-mm.
room on the spectrum for all kinds of things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a hard lesson to learn. And I've been black and white most of my life, and I think it that comes from conditioning, from how you were raised, and then for me, religion. And I'm not hating on religion either, but I have been, I've been deconstructing from that very rigid religion way of life that I was in for so many years. And um, I think that is one of the things that made me so black and white about everything and not able to, because I mean, you're taught it's like it's either a sin or it's not, right?
Oh, honey, Reformed Catholic here, okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Everything is a sin, okay? Everything is a sin.
Yeah. Yeah. Reformed Pentecostal here. Everything that wasn't a sin for you was a sin for us. So
Ah, yeah, we will someday have to have I'm not sure I'm ready to quite open myself up to that because I know what'll happen as soon as we do. But one of these days, we are going to
Mhm.
have the big organized religion conversation because y'all know
Yeah.
my views.
Yeah. I want to be included in that
Oh,
conversation
absolutely.
because I here's the thing, is it going to hack a lot of people off? Probably, but there's going to be some people who hear it, who a light bulb goes on in their mind, and they realize that they've found what they're looking for, that there's so much more to life than the black and white and the yes and the no and the here and the there. There's just all of these beautiful shades of colors and values that are in between. And when you get to where you can swim fluidly through all that and feel, that's the other I'm jumping around, but that's the
That's
other
okay.
thing that has been big for me lately in the past couple of years. And learning to be a yoga teacher took me 2 years to do that, but that has helped me get into my body. And we all live from the neck up. We're constantly thinking and reasoning and planning and scheming and whatever else it is. And when we do that, when we're in our head all the time, we don't give ourselves the space to feel in our body, because everything that goes on up here, you're going to feel it somewhere in your body. And sometimes even things that you don't know you're thinking, you're going to feel in your body. And to have learned with all of these different modalities that I've learned, energy work too, that's another thing that I've gotten into recently. And just learning to quiet your mind for long enough and feel into your body and feel what you're feeling. Are you feeling a sensation? Are you feeling pain? Are you feeling heaviness? Are you feeling elation? Are you feeling butterflies? Whatever, because all of that means something. And when you can connect with what it means, that's when you can start healing yourself and coming into living this beautiful life in the beautiful way that it was meant to live, instead of just being miserable all the time, which I have been for the majority of my life. And I've turned over a new leaf, and I just want to share this with people. I'm so passionate. I mean, I'm very passionate about all of the stuff I've done, but I don't know if I've ever been as passionate as I am now, that there's a better way to live, and we're almost all of us missing it. And is it easy? Probably not easy, but it's something that we can all learn how to do.
And that's what I'm loving about watching you. It's just like, yes, she has finally, because that has always been my thing. I know there's a lot of business people out there. In fact, I just had someone comment on something I posted the other day about, and he makes millions. I mean, he makes millions, and he's like, you don't have to be passionate about what you're doing. Just find what you're really good at, become the best at it, become better than everybody else. It doesn't matter if you like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
You just get up and do it every day because
Mm,
it makes you money. And I'm like, no,
mm. I'm
it's
so
not a way
glad
to
you said
live.
that, because that gives
That's
me
just,
a whole new way to talk about things. I Another thing that I have been learning with my or with my business and my personal coach, Rose, is that there are two ways to do anything in the world, and especially business. There's a feminine way of doing things, and there's a masculine way of doing things. And these are the edges, because there's a whole range in the middle too. But what I have learned is that I've been trying to do business in the masculine way all of the years I've been in business, because I my education really was in banking, and they teach you how to sell and how to upsell and all of that stuff, and that's fine. It's fine to do that, but what Rose has taught me is the feminine way of looking at that, at syncing your business activities with the moon cycles, because women are on a monthly cycle for in more ways than one. We've got our female cycle, but then we also the whole world is on the moon cycle. But men recycle quicker, so they have a 24-hour rhythm, and they can go to sleep and wake up in the morning and push through the day, and go to sleep and wake up in the morning and push through the day. And I'm sure the moon cycles affect them some too. But if as a woman you can learn to sync your periods of productivity and rest with the cycles of the moon, you are so much more productive. And this is what I'm learning to do. And I think this is one of the other things that has made such a profound change in me and how I do business in the last 6 months.
I was not aware of that. That would explain a lot why there's just like, it just seems like certain times of the month, like I don't want to do anything. And I'm sitting here
Well,
trying to figure
yeah.
out, it's like, why? Why am I so tired? I slept good. I
Hmm.
ate good. I've got
Hmm.
work to do that I'm excited about, but
Are
I'm
you
just
feeling that way right now?
tired. No, not really.
No?
I
Okay.
was yesterday. I was yesterday.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh. Yesterday it was like I have zero energy.
Well, we're in the dark moon this week. And so your dark moon week is kind of your regroup week and rest week. And then as the moon starts waxing again, just think of it like your energy building. And then full moon week, that's go time. That's that's the week where it's like, let's get it done. Let's move through this. And you will feel really productive, and it doesn't take as long to get things done. And it's more than just the actual action of it lined with the moon cycles, but because I have changed the way my brain works, and I can now say, okay, it's the dark moon week. That's why I feel sluggish. That's why things are a little harder to push through. And I need to love on myself and allow myself some time to rest, because that's rest week. And then the next week, your momentum can start building again to the full moon. And that full moon week is where you're killing it all week. So this
Oh
has
my,
been a huge shift for me.
I'm so glad you shared this because seriously, I was
Yeah.
sitting there last night and especially this morning when I got up and I have a little more energy today. So I'm not as bad as yesterday. I'm not like, oh,
Mhm.
let's go get him. But I spent half this morning going, man, I didn't get anything done. And just beating myself up because
Mhm.
I got
Yeah.
like nothing done
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah. And
And
because
now I
it's a
don't have
dark
to.
moon. And now, I mean, it's not that you have to or you don't have to, but that in your mind that this is why I feel like I'm trudging through mud this week, is because your body wants to rest. Your mind wants to rest. Your feminine your femininity is ready for a break, because you can't push 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 31 days a month. Even the ocean ebbs and flows. We're not machines. And I've treated myself like a machine for 20 years, and I'm done with that. I'm not a machine. I'm a woman. I'm a flesh and blood woman. And I have up times and down times and in times and out times. And you know what? All of it is okay. It's all okay.
I'm glad you shared that because seriously, there's been so many times when I've just been sitting there just worn out and struggling to figure out why I'm so tired and feeling all pissed off at myself because I am this
Mm-hmm.
tired
Yeah.
and I'm not
Yeah.
doing some of the things I need to get done. And then I spend the next couple of days beating myself up because I'm
Yep.
behind my schedule that I put for myself.
Yep.
And yeah, I may still do it, but at least now I know why. And maybe I can
Mm-hmm.
be a little kinder to myself during those
Yeah.
periods. I love it. I
Well,
love it I love it when my
I
guests teach me
invite,
something
yeah.
new.
Well, that's awesome. I taught you something new, because I kind of see you as my mentor. So it's kind of exciting for me to teach you something. But I just invite you and everyone else to dive into that, Google it, or get a book on the feminine way of doing things, or aligning your productivity with the moon cycles and what have you. And it's especially profound for women, because that is our cycle. We're on a 28-day cycle.
That's awesome. I mean, I've often talked when I teach like marketing or something that I do talk about the fact that women market and buy differently than men.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I get a lot of people just looking at me like, "What are you talking about?" And no, we do. We buy differently.
Yeah.
And if you're marketing to women the same way you market to men, it's not going to be as effective. Now, again, there's lots of areas of gray. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
there are women out
Yeah.
there that are gonna jump right on that, but for the most part, we buy differently. We buy based on emotion and
Yeah.
how things are going to make us feel. So
Mm-hmm.
when you come up to me and start laying out all of the benefits and the facts I don't care. I don't need the data.
Mm-hmm.
I want to
Talk
know
about how it's
how
going
is
to make
this?
me feel.
Yeah, tell me that.
Yeah.
And then give me all the facts and figures so I can go home and explain to my husband why I bought this.
Yeah. But not only how's it going to make me feel, but how's it going to make me feel better? How is this going to make me feel better? How is this going to make my life more fun or easier, or more loving, or whatever it is that I'm looking for in my life right now? I wanted to speak to the guy that you were talking about. I don't know who he was or where he was, but saying, you just get up and you do it, you do good, and enjoying yourself or being inspired about it is the least of it. And again, we're talking about a whole spectrum, but I think there are different people who are more able to deal with that than there is other people. I'm a Sagittarius and I'm a dreamer. And I learned, I've learned this lesson many times over, but I cannot work a job that is not in alignment with me. I can't work a job that is drudgery. It has to be inspiring to me. I have to be helping somebody. I have to be creative. There's a feeling that, and I know when I'm in that groove because I get that feeling and I'm in that groove now. But, there are some people who I don't know if it's practice or, if it's their astrological sign or if it's how they were raised, but they're able to deal with that drudgery and just do the right thing, get up and go to work every day, make the money, and then you have the weekends off. But I'm so done with that. And I mean, you can even be that way as an entrepreneur.
Oh
Where
yeah,
I'm
he
at
is.
now is, yeah, yeah, I mean, because you think about it, having a 9 to 5 job that you get in that routine. But um one of the big thoughts that I've had lately, I think I heard of this on a song, is like my life doesn't have days of the week. It has moments. So do I work Saturday and Sunday sometimes? Yeah. But am I off on Tuesday or Thursday sometimes? Yeah. I don't feel guilty anymore about doing what I want to do when I feel inspired to do it, as opposed to making myself do something that's not in alignment with my soul in that moment, because then it's just hard. And if I do things that are in alignment with me in the moment that I feel that alignment, it's easier and it's more productive and it's more beautiful, and it goes out into the world and does what I intended for it to do when I did it.
I, I understand completely. I'm a Gemini, which means that combined with the fact that I'm also a little neurodivergent means I have the attention span of a gnat. So if I don't have something that I'm passionate enough about to
Mm-hmm.
hold my attention, I
Mm-hmm.
won't accomplish anything. I'll either be bored to death
Yeah.
or I will just flip from one thing to another thing
Mm-hmm.
to another thing and actually accomplish
Yeah,
nothing.
nothing. Yeah.
And it's
Not only passionate, but interesting. My work has to be interesting. I love having the deep thoughts and exploring that in my mind and talking about thoughts and intangible things with people, like the conversation we're having today. This is food for my soul and I love it. And it's what I live for.
and that's why I started doing these because I don't think there's enough of these out there. There's a ton of podcasts that,
Hmm.
how to do this or why we do that.
Yeah.
And that's how I started out, but I've I've changed. And that's part of being who I am. It's like these
Mm.
aren't fun. Okay. These are kind of
If it's
boring.
not fun, why are you doing it?
So it's like I want to go do the fun ones. And then you're kind of pulled back because you're like, okay, what will people think? I mean, I remember the first one I did with Faye, and it was
Hmm.
like people are going to listen to this and they're going to go, man, those ladies are weird. And it's like, you know
No,
what?
I
I,
think it's
I I
what
don't
the world
care.
needs. I think the world wants authenticity. What that makes me think of is in professional portrait photography, which I have done for many, many, many years. I am seeing a shift on what people want in their portraits and what they see as beautiful in their portraits. And I think because of AI, and I don't have a problem with AI, I use it every day. And again, I don't want to hear any complaints about this because if you like it, if you don't, whatever. But I'm not against AI. I don't think it's going to take my job as a photographer, but um, because it's so perfect, I think people now are swinging back to the other end of that spectrum, which is authenticity and I want to see myself how I really am. And I want to learn to love myself how I am. And so photography, portrait photography is getting a little more raw, a little more imperfect, a little more authentic. And I really think that's where we're kind of going as a culture right now. I mean, where I'm living, I'm sure it may be different in other places, but I think people are craving authenticity. They want to sit and listen to someone have a conversation that wasn't scripted and is not all about sales and just talking about feelings and experiences and journeys and how I got from point A to point B, and I mean all of the stuff we're talking about.
And just to have some fun. What you talking about that just made me think my daughter had some pictures taken of her and her kids and her husband over the holidays, and she sent them to me. And I was expecting the standard, mom and dad and three kids, and you know, you know what they look like. These
Mm-hmm.
are insane. The poses that they have, that I'm just like she's got the three kids. There's the oldest one on the bottom, and then his sister is kind of on his back on all fours, and like a little peer, like a little stack. And I'm like, "What is this?" She goes, "We just wanted to have fun." And I'm looking at these
Mm-hmm.
things going, "These are the weirdest freaking photos I've ever seen in my life." But you could look at
Mm-hmm.
them and tell that they were just having a good time.
Yeah.
They were just having
Yeah.
fun. And
And
she's
it's
like, "You
about
should."
more than the photograph. It's about the experience. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not afraid that AI is going to take my job as a photographer, because AI cannot provide an experience like I can. And when your daughter and her children are grown, they'll look back at that photo shoot and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I remember how much fun we had as a family when we did that photo shoot." And the actual photographs are just going to be a reminder to them of the experience that they had making them that day. So photographs
Yeah.
are mementos of the experience.
So are you going to be teaching all this stuff? Because I feel like I know you're doing the summit, okay, and that's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
21. Yeah, but are you
Mm-hmm.
going to be actually teaching this? Because I feel like so many women need to hear this. And I
Yeah.
know that I talk about it all the time in the Rebel Tribe group, and I know I talk about it all the time in the on the podcast and everything, but sometimes people need to hear more than one
Mm-hmm.
voice saying the same
Yeah.
thing before they finally go, "Oh, maybe I should listen." So
Well, where I'm
tell me you're going to be
going with
teaching.
this summit, I am going to be teaching, and I have several different ways that I'm doing it, and I probably have more ideas and ways than I have tangible time to do it. But the intention for the summit is to reach those women, and it could be men too, but I imagine it's mostly women, who want to learn to become more visible in their lives, and they may not realize everything else that they're going to learn in the journey. So the way I see it is one-on-one coaching with me and one client, and 6 to 9 months of life coaching, um, and then all of that culminates in a experiential photo shoot that is conceptual. So we will come up with a concept that illustrates their journey, and they will come up with that too. And then within the 6 to 9 months of coaching, it's going to be tailored to what that specific person needs. But it's going to be a combination of nervous system regulation and exercises to do that, art therapy and exercises using art to regulate yourself and bring yourself. It's basically just helping people find their path. That's what I'm there for. I've become an expert of finding my path because I mean,
Good luck.
I've had a windy path, but that's what my passion is to help women find their path. And that's what all of the different things that I will teach during the one-on-one coaching, which will be tailored to that one person. But it's basically combining nervous system regulation with art therapy and culminating in this very visible, conceptual, collaborative photo shoot.
That sounds awesome. That I mean it really does because again, I'm all about the revisioning process. I do it every year. And this year for me was like an eye-opening experience for my own self. It's everything has changed. I let go of a lot of things because when I had to ask myself how much is enough? I think we talked about that on my summit episode was, the first
Mm-hmm.
question I ask people now is how much is enough?
Yeah.
Are you pushing yourself to be a seven-figure earner when you don't want to be a seven-figure earner or you don't
Mhm.
care if
Yeah.
you're a
Yeah.
seven-figure earner? Are
Yeah.
you pushing yourself to build this great big thing when it's not really what you want? You're trying to meet the
Mhm.
expectations. How much is enough? And when
Yeah.
I had
In
to
a
answer that
roundabout
question
way,
for
what you're
myself,
talking
yeah,
about. Yeah.
yeah,
You're talking about embodiment right now. You're talking about feeling into your body what you really want for your life. And do I need to be a seven figure earner just because that's what coaches say that I need to do to be successful? Or can I make a couple $100,000 and live a really simple life and have everything I need and go everywhere I want? Because it's what feels right for me. It's
I know.
what's in you. It's what feels right in your body and your mind, not what other people want.
That was my trigger when my business coach looked at me and said, "This is your $1 million year. We're going to make one new income stream a month." And I was like, "Man, I'm almost 70 years old. I don't want to work that hard." Okay. My
You nailed
husband
it,
just
sister.
retired. I don't want to work that hard.
I don't want to
One
work
new
that
income
hard.
stream a month? No, I don't want that. And then I did. I sat down and was like, okay, what do I want? How much do I really need? How much do I really want to live the life I want to live? Do I need to do all that? And I discovered, like, yeah, no, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Yeah.
So, where were you when I needed you, girl?
I was cooking. I was becoming.
Well, it is a growth process. It
It
really
is.
is. And more people need to embark on it fearlessly. I think that's a big thing. We're all so afraid. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what happens? I was a little concerned about what happens when I look at my husband and go, yeah, all that money I spent on all this stuff to do all this, I don't want to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he was
Yeah.
he was cool. He was cool because he was always mad because I was never available when he wanted to go do something. He was like, "Well, I can't, honey. I've got to do this, or I've got a client meeting, or I've got this to do, or I've got."
Mm-hmm.
And now he's like, "Well, that's cool. Okay, I got you. Yeah, don't worry about it. We'll
Mm-hmm.
we'll figure it out. Yeah, you just threw away a lot of money, but he was actually very good with it." So, but I think a lot of us are afraid of what will people think if we suddenly go, I'm good with what I have. I don't want to,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah. It's
I don't
different
know.
for all of us. You have to feel into what's right for you and
How do you
and
deal with that
embody
fear?
what's right for you. Yeah. How do you deal with the fear?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's lots of ways to deal with the fear. I mean, I believe that fear is a form of dysregulation. And so how I deal with the fear is working within one of the modalities that I know. I mean, I may do emotional freedom technique, tapping. You've probably heard of that.
Oh,
And
yes. I've heard all about tapping. I've actually,
yeah,
yes,
it works. It
it does
works.
work. It does work.
Yeah. Or I might meditate, or I might do yoga, or I might go for a walk, or writing, journaling. I'm a firm believer that I don't know what I think until I write it. I don't even know what I believe until I write it. And I've written things that I've gone back and read and thought, wow, where did that come from? But it's just all a process of finding clarity and tending to yourself, bringing it inward instead of constantly pushing outward, outward, outward to fix things. This is where we find answers, right here
Most,
in
most
our heart.
women, most
Yeah.
women are not taught to take care of themselves. We're
No, we're
taught to take
not.
care of everybody else.
Yeah.
And then,
And that's the patriarchy teaching us that.
You and I have to have more conversations because so far we've talked about organized religion. We need to have that one. We need to have the patriarchy one. We need to have the mainstream medicine one. We need to have
I'm here for
it's
it.
I love meeting a kindred spirit. And I used to what's really scary is I used to be that other person like wholeheartedly. And now I
Mhm.
look back at some of the people and the women that have entered my life and I'm talking to them and it's like, why have you where were you when I needed you? Like
Mhm.
EFT, okay?
Mhm.
EFT cured my migraines. Hypnosis cured my insomnia. If you watch the episode I did with Lana DeRue, she's an
Mhm.
energy worker and she helped me. And I'm just sitting here. I still sit here going, how did she do that? Okay. She's in California. I'm out
Mhm.
here. How did
Yeah,
she do that?
because
But it
energy,
worked.
everything's made of energy.
So it's like all of these things that I'm opening up to, and it's amazing that we just write it all off. Because if you told me a year ago that tapping was going to cure my headache, I'd have said, "What are you, really? This is going to fix my headache? Okay,
Mhm. Yeah.
cool. Okay,
Yeah.
give me
Yeah.
an aspirin, I'll be good." But it worked. It worked like a charm, and I haven't had
Yeah.
bad headaches since. Which is
Yeah.
I've had migraines my whole entire life.
Well, I'm
So
glad to hear that.
be able to get rid of them with simple tapping. That's why I think it's so important for you to have, you've got to get this out there, girl. You've got to get this out there
I'm working at
because
it. I'm
so
working at
many
it.
of us need it. There's so many women out there that need you. They need you.
Well, we're in promo week right now for becoming visible. So all they have to do is register, and you'll get 21 inspiring videos in your inbox for 21 days. And it'll be all kinds of conversations that have to do with everything we've just talked about and then some more. And then if you want to be a VIP, they can just upgrade to VIP for $27, and then they'll get all the recordings, unlimited access, plus a one-on-one session with me. And then I'm also going to be doing a 5-day online retreat. So I will actually be coaching online for 5 days in a row for an hour a day for $27.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't get anything. That's an amazing deal.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. I need to sign up for that myself.
Yes, ma'am. Please.
You can't. Well, seriously, you cannot get an online retreat plus all that for $27.
Yep. That's because that's how passionate I am about helping people and about getting getting this new way of living and new way of thinking out to the world, because women, we're ready for it. The time is right. We're ripe for this. There's so many women that are searching and they're looking and they're like, when I find it, I'll know it, but I don't really know what I'm looking for. I just want to feel better. Here it is. Here it is. Listen, this is the universe telling you right now in this moment that there's a better way.
Oh, I hope they listen. I hope they listen. I keep thinking of so many women I know that I hope you I hope y'all I'm going to send this to them. Okay. I do
Please,
not DM
please.
people very often. I do not DM people. I don't like it. I don't like, oh, will you buy my stuff? I know we're
Mm-hmm.
friends and everything and here's your little DM asking you, will you buy my thing? I hate that, but this one's important because they need it. They need it. I may
Mm-hmm.
have to do that. See
Well,
what you
do what feels
started.
right to you.
Helping them feels right to me. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's women out there that will absolutely change lives. I've seen it in action. I
Yeah.
saw it on a seminar that I did, and at the end of the seminar, a lady stayed on, and two of the coaches that work with me on a lot of these things
Mm-hmm.
also stayed on because they just kind of sensed that she needed something.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sat back and watched. I watched the two of them just work with her totally impromptu. She said something that gave them a little opening and they were immediately just there and just I mean, she was in tears by the end, but good tears, tears of
Mm-hmm.
release. Not, I
Yeah.
mean, it was amazing. I just sat there and was like, wow, this is the kind of stuff I want to do. I want to bring people like that to the people who need it.
That's
It
what you're
was,
doing.
it was kind of life changing for me to see the kind of power in what I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing to help others.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was so,
Well, you're
yeah.
living your intentions and dreams. And I think it's less to do with how many people we reach and more to do with the right people get reached because there are people out there who need what we're talking about and they're materializing it. So this conversation was planned before the foundations of the earth, and it's no surprise to the universe that you and I are having this conversation today, but it's because somebody intended. Somewhere out there, someone needs to hear the things we talked about today. And because they intended that and because they wanted that, they have attracted this conversation so that they can
Oh,
get on their path. And that's what I'm passionate about is
I,
it reaching
yeah.
the right people. And it will. It's inevitable. But you have to do it. Like the universe gave you the vision to do what you're doing today. And if you had said no, then what would have happened? That message maybe would have come through someone else, but you had to yield yourself and say, okay, I hear you. I hear you. I'm just going to jump in and do it and do the best I can. And look what you're doing now. And look how good you are at what you're doing now.
There's another conversation we need to have because I talk about that a lot too. It's like, the universe is, you were put here for a purpose. I firmly believe that.
Mm-hmm.
When I say I don't believe in organized religion, I don't. I do believe in God, wholeheartedly believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe He put
Yeah.
every one of us here with a purpose. We all have a mission that we're supposed to fulfill.
Mm-hmm.
And the things and the people and the skills and the talents that we need to do it are presented to us when the time is right. And that's when we have to choose, like the podcast. I went to a class. I spent money, a lot of money, on a class to learn how to do a podcast. And I
Mm-hmm.
was told we have to have these microphones and you got to have this background and you got to have this music and you got to have all this stuff and you got to basically build a studio. And I'm like, I can't afford that right now. And I don't even have the technical skills to even know. No, I'm done. I can't do this. And I could have walked away at that point and said, I'm done. I can't do this. It's out of my reach. But I happen to know a friend who's speaking on your summit. And she reached out to me and she said, when are you launching your podcast? And I said, I'm not. And she said,
Would
why?
her
And I
name be
told her
Joey?
that would be the one. She's like, when are you
She's
launching your
amazing.
podcast? And I said, I'm not, Joey. I can't. I cannot do this. It's beyond my. I can't. And she's
That's
like,
beyond my
what are you doing
ability. Yep.
tonight? Yeah. What are you doing tonight? I said, nothing. She says, we're gonna launch your podcast tonight. It's like, we are? Like in one day, we're gonna launch my podcast. She said, yep. And she sat down and just like, do you have Zoom? I said, yep. She says, do you have any kind of a microphone at all? I said, I got a little headset. She says, that is all you need. You do not need. She says, do you have YouTube? I said, yes. She said, go make a Spotify account before tonight. I said, okay. And that is all you need. And then she did. She sat down, she walked me through the process. And it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And that's only because that was because of Apple, because I had an old Apple account with a password I could not remember. But at 1 o'clock in the morning, I hit publish on my first podcast episode, and she walked me through the whole process. And it's like the opportunity was there. It was like, here it is. It's time for you to go do this thing that I'm supposed to be doing. And I could have
Mm-hmm.
said yes, or I
Mm-hmm.
could have said no. I said yes.
Mm-hmm.
But how many people would have said, okay, well, now this is too hard for me. I can't do this. It's too hard. And
Most
that's
of them
why
probably.
ugh, And that's why they need people like you to go, okay, you're struggling with this. Let me help you get past that fear, get past that anxiety, get past whatever it is that you think is telling you you can't do this. And then, I'll hook you up with someone who can teach you the skills you actually need once you get past the fear of I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine the world we could create.
Yeah.
We all just followed our passions and our calling. I guess that's what it is. Follow your
Yeah.
calling. Everybody's got something they're supposed to do. And you're
Yep.
doing yours. I mean, you're doing yours. I see your whole journey leading you to this moment. I don't know if you
Absolutely.
feel that, but I do.
Oh, I do. Absolutely. Absolutely. The good and the bad and the ups and the downs and everything. Um, that made me think about when you're talking about organized religion, and I'm not into that either, but I think there's a place for all of it because I don't think that I would have the ability to be as spiritual as I feel like I am now and to have the sort of supernatural beliefs that I have had I not been in organized religion. That was really kind of my introduction to spirit and however you interpret that. But um, anyway, everything has its place and everything has its purpose, and everything that's ever happened to you in your journey is perfectly preparing you for your next step. You just have to have the courage to take the step. And if you don't have the courage to take the step, let me and Melodian
And
help you
Joey
get past that,
and
and
these
Joey
20
and
some
all these
yeah,
other amazing
yeah,
women.
the 20 something other ladies
Yep.
that are on this
Yep.
this summit.
Yep.
Because
Give you that one thing. If you hear one thing on all of those videos that helps you and gives you the courage to take your next step, then everything, it's all been, if one person takes the next step because of anything I've recorded in all of those videos or this video, then it's all worth it.
I looked at the list and I know almost all of the women that are speaking, and I have learned something from each and every one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So if you don't learn something, at least one thing from that summit, then you weren't listening. I'm just going to
Yeah,
put that
but
out there. If you don't learn
what you
something,
hear will you'll hear what you're supposed to hear. That's what I believe. This has been a great conversation. Thank you, Melodian, for inviting me and including me. I just appreciate the to have the platform to talk about what I'm passionate about so much.
well, I thank you for being so open about this whole season that you're in and everything you went through to get here. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of people really need to hear what growth and what revisioning and what all that really looks like. Not the highlight reel that we all see on social
Yeah.
media.
No, no, I'm rough and ready. Here's what you got. This is how I am, and this is what you get. Here I am.
And to everyone listening, if you're in a season where you're building something new, or you're thinking about it, or you're feeling like you're being called to do something and you don't quite know how to take that step, I hope this conversation reminds you that you don't have to have it all figured out to take the next step. Look at us.
Mm-hmm.
You just have
Yep.
to be willing to grow into it.
Yeah. Done is better than perfect.
Exactly. So, this is Rebel Tribe After Hours, real stories, real learning, and real life. So, thanks for hanging out with us, and I will see you in the next one.
Bye bye.